Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Future Man, Season 1, Episode 12, Prelude to an Apocalypse, the penultimate episode to Season 1. Fan-fucking-tastic, just like every episode. I've done reviews for shows before, and I won't mention any names, but every episode was just like, I hate this so much. But I still had to do the reviews. This is the exact opposite. Every episode, this is fucking fantastic. If you're not watching this, you need to be watching this. So, I don't know, I feel like it's almost equally as boring, but in the opposite way of just me gushing all over it, which is a great mental picture, I'm sure. So, we see that Tiger leaves Josh in the new present, which I think this is now the third timeline, because we had the regular present, then they changed things and he came back, and then they changed things again, and now this is the third timeline. So it's the futuristic Cronish building. So Josh goes up there, tries to get in, instantly banned. They know who he is and they say no. So it's okay. So he sees Camillo sitting on a bench. Dude is the biggest wuss of all time. So he went from being this badass to just oh my god, is this your bench? I'm so sorry. And he runs away. But he does have a trimmer beard. And let me tell you, Haley Joel Osment, was rocking the big beard, looked a lot better with the small beard. Just throwing that out there. So it turns out that Josh in this timeline is known as Juice and is super famous. He's super rich. His uncle took his advice from the past, got a job with AOL. They're all famous now. Put his parents in homes. It's fantastic. As he's learning all of this, which the game store people that we saw in the pilot episode are his maids now. They just clean up after him. So Tiger and Wolf show up and he's like, what the hell happened to you? The 40s, the 90s. So in the time that it took Josh to walk from the Cronish building to his house, Wolf and Tiger both lived several years. Especially Wolf. He lived almost a decade. So it's really kind of interesting. So we go through all of this, Tiger meeting with Stu and trying to get their way into the Cronish building that way. We see Skarsgård as a cop, as a traffic cop, because he can't even be a real cop at this point. And sure enough, he does have scars on both sides of his face. One from the 60s, one from the 80s of Tiger just hitting him. So Wolf ends up going through withdrawals from Coke, because that's all the 90s were just these Coke binges. But I love how Wolf now knows all of these 90s references of Terminator 2 and of Julia Roberts and all sorts of other stuff. Anything Josh says, Tiger now, or Wolf now gets these references. Corey Hart, the real Corey Hart, makes a cameo in this as himself, trying to help Wolf through the withdrawals. Josh goes to see his dad, which is actually a really sad moment that I didn't know about. That he goes to see his dad and he's like, where's mom? And he's like, mom doesn't want to see you. It turns out the actress that played his mom actually passed away, in real life. And so, that's kind of how they kind of wrote her out a little bit. And it's really sad. Once I found that out, I was just I had to pause it and I was like, oh, this became really, really emotional at that point. On the flip side, I'm not going to lie, this is the episode that made me watch the entire series to begin with. I've said before, I kind of heard about it in the background, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then shortly after this episode came out, all over Twitter, they're like, Josh Hutcherson does full frontal nudity. And I was like, let's see what his dick looks like. It's not a secret that I've had a crush on him. He's in probably my top 3 hottest guys. And so to watch it, I was like, oh, that's clearly fake. But I'm still going to pause it and stare at it for a moment. So this is the episode. We finally got to that point. Absolutely loved it. Just watching Juice and Josh fight each other. And then finally, when we get to the end where Josh has to realizes we're in a brand new timeline where Juice never beat the game, the Biotics Wars. So now if Josh beats it, we'll get a new Tiger, we'll get a new Wolf, and we'll get a whole brand new team. And that's where it ends, on this badass cliffhanger of the new team showing up. Who's it going to be? Super excited to watch the finale. Hope you guys are loving it. I'll see you guys next time for A Date with Destiny.